With mindfulness, we can begin to shift our consciousness towards seeing the good in others and in ourselves, which will naturally change the way that we speak about others. When we engage in evil speech, we put a shell around our soul, and the light that we draw as a result of our spiritual work cannot enter. It can assist and support us in our life's process, especially during challenging times when we need the support the most. If you don't have anything nice to say, well, you aren't trying hard enough. Think of something positive and then express that. Before you speak, think about what you desire from that interaction. If your words don't support your desired outcome, don't say them. There's one cardinal rule which should always be honored during an argument, and that is to never hit below the belt. There are just some things you never say, like, "You're acting like your mother and I hate her." In case you're in denial, what I'm referring to when I say hitting below the belt includes wishing your partner or their parents' death or sickness, or calling their names or cursing the day they were born. Most of the times, the things that have our hearts racing and blood boiling are quite inconsequential, like clothes, or for that matter, toast. Jacob and Michelle are otherwise very sane, kind people who both become utterly enraged at each other over the proper level of toastiness that a piece of bread should have to be given to their teething toddler. There were tears, recriminations. Even the next day, there were attempts to validate the rightness of their assertions as to the appropriate level of toastiness. Obviously, there were underlying issues that fed to the toast conflict. When you find yourself getting heated on something ridiculous, take a breath. Simply identifying that you're having a toast moment is all it takes to restore levity and calm. Now, if there is an underlying issue, be flexible and decide to repair the hiccup in the relationship instead of damaging it further. Often we take ourselves and the negative things we do or say very seriously, and then we take very seriously the steps that we have to do in order to correct that negativity. Now, this is one level of change, but the ultimate and deeper level of change is being able to joke about it. I behaved like that. I got angry at that person. I allowed myself to speak negatively in that way. What? That's ridiculous. As Rav Brunwein said, blessings cannot rest in a place of darkness. You want to get to the point where you see the way you behaved and disconnected from the light and laugh at the way that person behaved, realizing it's not actually you, because there's a huge difference between the two. There's a big disparity between who you are and who you're meant to be. With this understanding, you can look from the outside at your actions and say, the way that that person, the version of you, behaved is ridiculous. If you assess your day and look back and see that you shouldn't have done certain things, like yell at your spouse, lash out at somebody at work, or get offended, you can choose to make a change instead of beating yourself up about it. Berating yourself just lends itself to poor self-esteem, which in turn blocks the light from coming in. Reframe your thoughts. Instead of focusing on the challenges in your relationship, try practicing levity. The uncomfortable truth of the matter is that some couples will not ever resolve certain topics, but that doesn't mean that the relationship doesn't work or that they shouldn't be together. It's an issue that has the power to be divisive if they let it. There's always a choice to instead have a good laugh and draw closer together. There was a couple that I met where the wife had a real problem with her husband leaving a trail of scrubs on the floor from the shower every time he arrived from work. It really bothered her. One day, instead of getting angry, she stood at the top of the stairs and kicked his scrub pants down the stairs where it landed in front of him while he was watching television. She called down, "Just be glad you weren't wearing them." They both lost it, laughing hysterically. Be likable. Be a friend. Happy relationships rely far more on how much fun you have as a couple, rather than successful conflict resolution. We've all been in these situations where we feel like we're on the verge. Something's got to give. And in fact, something does have to give. But we get to choose which way it goes. We can snap, be reactive, lash out, sulk, or blame people for our situation. Or we can have some fun. As Mark Twain said, against the assault of laughter, nothing can stand. Levity gets us out of our heads and our egos and allows us to bring about real change in our relationships and in our lives.